What's up, you guys? Today I've got a few tips regarding personal projects that have helped me and I think could possibly help you as well. We all need to make personal projects. It's one of the best ways as a developer to actually showcase your skills. So the first thing that has helped me is to make every project you do a little bit harder than the last one. We tend to stay in our comfort zones, but if you step out of that a little bit every single time, then you're going to improve. It's going to look good on your portfolio, but it's also just going to help you as a developer. Integrate some new technology, like if your last project was only using React, this time use React and TypeScript. Next is don't worry about it being the next Facebook, because we're gonna put so much time into this app or this project. We're like, well, I want it to be something that actually people use. I think unless you're aiming for it to be a startup right off the get-go, you might want to just consider it as a pet project from the start. This will save a lot of mind space and just like thinking about where you want to take it. Instead of like thinking business stuff, you can just think, how can I improve as a developer with this app? Next tip is work on it at least once a day. It's easy to get complacent. So long as you work on it every single day, you're doing something. And even if one day you just absolutely do not feel like coding, if you go in there and just document some things that might be confusing to you later on down the line, like if you just made something, you're like, man, I don't know what that's going to be. Maybe rewrite the variables. Doing anything is better than doing nothing. My personal habit tip that I follow in my own life is it's okay to take one day off, but any more than one day off, you're kind of screwed unless you have like crazy discipline. But like one day off is fine. More than one day, you're in the danger zone, in my opinion. Next is actually deploy it to the internet. Don't just rely on recruiters or hiring managers or whoever to look at your GitHub. They're usually pretty busy and they don't want to piece together your project. And if it's anything remotely complicated, there's probably many moving pieces. So just use something like render.com. I've personally been using Render instead of Heroku and I really love it. But yeah, just put it on the internet so they can actually see it and test it and find all its little bugs. It's okay if there's bugs, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just put it out there. It looks really good when you have that, when you have a link on your website pointing to a live app that they can actually visit. Now this one we are all definitely guilty of. I know I am. Delete your zombie code. You're not going to use it later. We all do this, so don't feel bad if you do this. I do this all the time. We think that we're going to use this chunk of code later on, or it's going to be a good reference. Probably never going to be used. It's probably just going to sit there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, cluttering up your code base. All right, next is format every file. This also might sound super obvious, but I've looked at code bases before where it's just like your indentations over here on one line and then over here on the other line, and then just like 3 things on one line. So just format your code, use something like Prettier or built-in, or just look on the extension library and look up whatever language you're using. Type in formatter, pretty, print, whatever, just format your code. That's the entire tip. All right, we got 2 more. This one is optimize after everything works. Don't try to abstract too early. That's something that we also all do. Optimize once you're done. If there's repeated code somewhere, don't right off the bat, like if you have a chunk of UI code that you're like, that might be a component, just wait to make it a component. Even if you feel like it's gonna be clean, just like keep everything ugly for now and then just componentize later, break things out later. Don't do it right off the bat. You might regret it. All right, this is the last one that I am personally not great at, but whenever I do it, I'm like, man, that was really worth my time, and it's creating a README file for every project. Just describing the tech, maybe having screenshots, maybe a link to a demo, a link to the live site. But this README is what shows up on GitHub, and it's super important. Now, whenever like we're interviewing someone, I personally look for that README on their projects, because if they don't have a link to their website and if they don't have a README, I'm like, I don't know anything. I'm not gonna piece together this code base. So I don't know what this project is. But if you have a README showing the whole thing, if you're really proud of your project, add a README. If you're not proud, it doesn't really matter. But like READMEs are important. And guys, if you like this video, you'll probably like this one wherever it is on the screen of some LinkedIn tips that have helped me get a job and that I think could help you. But if you like the video. If you love the video, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.